I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast.
I was a writer's assistant on a sitcom, and we go to the table reads, and I laugh loud. I have a loud laugh. I'm a pretty genial guy typically, and we're at the table read, and it was one that I thought was particularly funny or good or whatever. Something that one of the guys were doing was making me laugh a lot, and the president, not the president of the network, but one of the higher ups, the like VP exec. Like the one that everyone was scared of. I was sitting right behind her. She turns around and taps me on the shoulder or on the knee, and she says, "That's enough." She thought I was goosing the, juicing the laughs. Because that is a thing that happens. But I wasn't necessarily doing that, and so it's another case of someone being like, you're too happy to be like for this to be a real thing. Like this isn't. You're doing something. You're putting on an affect here. And like I was, and that was pre Jordan Jesse Go. That was before any of that sort of laughing out the like that. It just happens to be that like my laugh gets me in trouble. I suppose I don't know, including with one of the higher up executives at the network.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, in an entire industry of insecure people, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what's going to happen. Like you're
everyone's like, you need some sort of pain or problems, or like you should not laugh that much. If you're a professional, funny person, you should not be laughing.
Right. Which by the way, my least favorite. That's my least favorite thing. I hate tears of a clown shit. I really do.
Yeah.
I've gone through the tears part. I'm fine. Like I'm good.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And actually, that's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
Normally, I start the episodes off. The year is 1997. The album is Live. Brian Regan Live. But it's technically called Live by Brian Regan. My guest is Brian Fernandes. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is
Should
very
we call
exciting.
you Sunny D?
Yeah, you can call me Sunny D. Absolutely.
Where is the nickname from?
Nickname was from I don't know if it was on mic. It might have been off mic actually. But it happened during a Kurt Brownaller. It was Kurt Brownaller and Nick Adams. I remember it's Pelican and Eagle episode, I think. If I remember, that's the title of it. I remember there's a caller who came in who saw a pelican and an eagle sitting on a wire or something, sitting together, and then Nick and Kurt riffed for like a half an hour about like a sitcom with the pelican and eagle, and so that became the name of the episode. But some point in that episode, they got to talking about how I was laughing outside the booth, as I am wont to do.
Sure.
And and Jesse said something or other about like my sunny disposition, and they're like, "Oh, well, Sunny D," and that just it like locked in and became Sunny D. It was like
fantastic.
That's that Sunny D.
Oh, that's so good.
So I don't know. I remember that very clearly because I think I was like, "Oh, I'm like part of the show. Like I'm in now. Like I think that wasn't too." Like I had been producing the show for a while, but I think that was one of the first times that I felt like included in like some of the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like Sunny, that's cool. I got a
awesome.
nickname. That's awesome.
Oh,
you know?
I love it. Oh, that's so good.
So anyway.
I wonder why maybe it was. That's so weird because I've heard every episode. Because at some point, when I finally discovered podcasting,
sure,
I should listen to every one of such and such.
Oh, yeah, you did the back catalog dive.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Like I discovered a few way too late, so I'm still in the back catalogs of like, stop podcasting yourself.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just there's so much.
Yeah. Well,
there's
so
much.
And these days there's more than ever, and there's so much good stuff, and you just like there's a select few that I am a completist on, but it's harder and harder to do that, especially now. Some shows are doing 2 a week, whatever. Like, how can you listen to 2 Marc Marons a week? Like,
I stopped listening to a few shows like that because it felt like my OCD wouldn't, and my legit OCD is like, no, I can't. If I can't complete it, I'm not.
Yeah, you just have to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got like that too on some shows now, and you have to cherry pick sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a guest, it's the guest or it's the topic or it's the whatever. Some of those you just have to, it's not possible to be a completist on everything anymore.
Maybe that's the only benefit of a paywall now.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
It's like, oh,
it
good, I don't have to worry about it. I mean, like,
and it's great to be here on your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm not a completist on Comedy on Vinyl, but I've listened to a couple,
I would not recommend being one. I really would not. I mean, going back to the first two at least. I don't know if you did. You try?
No, I didn't try. I did the more recent.
Oh, okay, good.
I did Zach Sherwin and I did a couple of the more recent ones.
Because the first two, we thought it would be cool to run the album and talk during it.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So like a riff tracks kind of thing.
Yeah, but like on a comedy album.
It's flipped because the album is the one being funny, and then the commentary is the thing that's not like the analysis. Is,
but the analysis ended up being funny, and it would have been great had the album not been running. Yeah. And there's no way to separate them. There's no way.
No, of course. On the tracks, yeah.
God damn it. And we were doing it on like the shittiest recorder possible at the time too. Like this is at least a nice one with shitty mics.
Sure.
But like,
yeah. But you live and you learn. Now you know. And now you understand that. Yeah.
So I tried to force you into listening to some stuff you'd never heard before.
Yeah, we tried to do that. Yeah.
We tried to do some National Lampoon. And you're welcome to come back to do National Lampoon if any of them.
I think we should still do that.
Okay.
Because it was one of those things that was going to be like a first run listen. I know you've done a few of those now that are like it's a first run listen, and then we go from neither of us having heard it and talk about what it meant back then and what it means now hearing it. Like. Which this is the album we're doing today is completely opposite for me. Like this is so woven into my comedy DNA that I just I pivoted to the thing that is the opposite. Like as opposed to like doing the analysis work on something I never heard, I was like, well, let's go to something when we couldn't do that or make that work. I was like, well, Brian Regan is like to me this is more it's like the direct opposite of that,
and that's perfect because perfect from the selfish perspective because like I knew and have known who Brian Regan is probably for 20 some years but have ignored him, nothing to do with his material because he's not offensive, he never stuck out in that way, and he's one of those guys who has made it big but is not you know what I mean, he's a name to comedy people, but he also sells to middle America.
Big time.
Doesn't swear.
No.
Hell is the only word he says on here. I listen.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that stood out. That stood out.
Yeah.
But like,
what the hell? Yeah.
But he's also he's also really well known by I think the guy who really got me thinking about him again was Pete Holmes because Pete Holmes loves him.
Oh yeah.
And which always shocks me because Pete Holmes can be a little dirty if he wants.
Sure.
But yeah, it's but I don't want to say if I say middle America, middle of the road, like clean comic, those things. Those can turn you off, you know what I mean? And maybe they did to me.
Right. I understand that completely. And the only reason that I feel like that's kind of the world that I came from. Like I grew up a lot. Actually, Pete Holmes is one of my favorite comedians, and he, and I think because I identify a lot with him in that I grew up super religious. I and then kind of have like sort of come out of that in a very similar like our progressions are very similar, and I'm sort of comedy adjacent or in that world or whatever, and feel like so. And so I grew up idolizing Brian Regan because he was the guy that we were allowed to listen to in a way. Like you felt like, at least me, I felt like I had found something that like could coexist both in my like super religious clean cut world, but also was like artistic and interesting and like you know like it had both. It was like the gateway in a way, you know, like it was the thing that was like, oh, it doesn't have to be bad. Just because it's clean doesn't mean it has to be bad.
Sure.
You know
exactly.
And so so hearing like Pete Holmes' conversations with Brian Regan and about him, I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm right in that world, like exactly in that like, and then. Of course, he is like an influence for a lot of comedians these days. Like you hear this album, like I hadn't heard it in a while. Like I grew up with it, like just like hearing some of it, I was like, oh my god, I still quote that to this day.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But like hearing it again, I'm like, oh my god, like there's a lot of people, including Pete Holmes, who are doing versions, who are standing on Brian Regan's shoulders.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I when I'm going back, even and this is less than 20 years ago, going back, like it's like, well, I have to do that perspective thing. We're like, shit, people are doing this, and they're already doing this. They're stylistically doing this. Like some of it's the style of the time.
Yeah.
There are a couple bits where he feels Seinfeldy, but he's still obviously his own thing.
Yeah.
But like, obviously his influence has rippled through to the point where I can't differentiate who came up with it first. It's really hard. So your instinct is to be like, oh, that's played out. But no, it might be the first
He
time.
may be the first one doing it.
Yeah.
And if not the first, then at least he was in that class of people who I feel like this album is like a culmination of, like, it's a product of the 80s stand-up boom in a way. Like it's 1987, but it was his first album, and so you can bet that this stuff, he'd been developing this stuff for 10 years. You know, all that club work that he had been doing, this is the culmination of that. So a lot of this stuff does feel to me like it does feel a little Seinfeld. Like there's some observational stuff in there.
Sure.
That it feels like of that time. Like it feels like it's sort of putting a cap on that era and like sort of ushering into a little bit of a new era.
I can see that.
Sometimes you'll say the right thing, but at the wrong time and feel stupid, you know? Something like, you too. I was getting out of a cab at the airport, and the driver goes, hey, have a nice flight. You too. You too. You have a nice flight, too, in case you ever fly someday. Don't everybody look at me. I'm a moron. Don't know when to say the you too phrase. I can't handle it. I never learn, you know? Like a waitress will bring my meal. Hey, enjoy your meal. You too. But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do eat, enjoy it when you eat it. If you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really, if you think about it. That's all.
And he does it with this non-ironic energy.
Yes, there's
You know?
no irony. There's almost no, like, he has like a couple meta jokes where he like sits above it a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning when he comes out and he's like, I know what you're thinking. Like he does a little bit of that Jim Gaffigan, like puts the voice into the audience person a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that much. And those are the things that I feel like are like pointing towards the next era, like that early 2000s era a little bit. Like there's some shades of like Mike Birbiglia in on here a little bit. And so it feels like it's almost capping that stand-up boom a little bit, like as one of the, in my mind, like one of the, like the cream rise, like one of those albums that rises to the top from that era. Yeah, including Seinfeld.
Sure.
To me.
Sure.
And then sort of points towards something else a little bit.
Yeah.
So but I also will say that. Just looking through your list of guests and albums and things, I am like struck recently with how little I know about like the history of.
Oh, I get that every day though. I feel that every day.
You know, yeah. I'm like, oh man, I'm saying these things, and like there are people out there who are like going to have like things to like rebut this specifically.
Yeah,
like,
but you know, I have people who I've made friends with through this show, been super lucky to be friends with. And, like, I will have them just be just south of shitting on all of my knowledge. They, like, respect me for doing the show. They'll come on the show, and they'll expose me. But, like, how the fuck do you not know who this guy is? I'm like, okay, step back a second. Like, I get it. He released One Cylinder in 1908. I don't, like, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, so... I get to a point where I'm happy with the knowledge I have, and I'm happy to learn more. Yeah. But like it's exactly that, you get that fear all the time. Like, oh, some fuck is just just like
there are really smart people out there that know a lot about this stuff, and that's why they're listening to the show. Sure. And I'm like, man, I am not an authority. I just have as I was thinking about what I was going to say on the show and talk about, I was like, man, all I can really go back to that is like authoritative is my experience with the album,
that's what happens.
It's but so it's funny that I launched immediately into like, I feel like this capped off an era of comedy. Like, I don't know if that's true. That's just
I bought it. Yeah, I do that every episode though. Like I do that because like you have to come up with like these signposts. Like, okay, well maybe this, and I could be completely fucking wrong, but it's worth talking about.
Yeah, it feels in my gut. That's what it feels like. Yeah, because it feels like there was this big boon of like Seinfeld and Seinfeld types that are doing observational types of things and club comedy, and there's so much of it, and then it's sort of then transitioned into a different. There's definitely a different period there, and somehow Brian Regan manages to like straddle that line a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Did you? How long have you had the vinyl? It was released in 2011. I'll let the people at home know.
Yeah.
that.
Oh, it's a bit of a
The
cheat.
vinyl was.
It's a cheat.
No, it's not a cheat.
So
it counts.
Here's what happened with this. When we were figuring out what album we were gonna do for the episode, when I realized that maybe because you had just done some Python episodes or some Lampoon episodes,
Yeah.
and like things that we had been talking about, and I was like, well, maybe we can go in a different direction. And I immediately thought, okay, this is old. But I don't know if there's a vinyl because I only ever heard it on like CD.
Sure, of course.
I never heard it on. And so then I looked for the vinyl and I was like, well, there's a vinyl and we can kind of reverse engineer this.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely got it recently.
Okay, yeah. Well, we've stretched it before. We did Weird Al Off the Deep End, and it had only been released on vinyl in like Iceland or some shit.
Oh, really?
Like some country that I would not have, it wouldn't have struck me would really have wanted vinyl. But I mean, like, and the reason I was surprised about this is because it's '97. Nobody was doing vinyl, but now it's 2011 is when they re-released it.
That's really interesting. It's sort of reverse engineered for the show, for the conceit of this show, where
it's perfect.
I feel like it's that sort of. The idea is the history, the old albums that were only released on vinyl early on.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, we'll just back into the concept.
Yeah, right.
Here with the
Can I tell you though? I would be tempted. People have tried so. I've kind of told people we'll never do Adam Sandler again on this show.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it too much, and I don't care anymore. And
Yeah.
also, they were never vinyl, and so I've stopped that.
Right.
But it's almost there are a couple where if somebody somehow decided to release like the Jerky Boys on vinyl,
Oh my God.
people have requested it, and I've refused it. But if it were on vinyl, somehow I'd be like, all right, I'll give it a listen just for something.
Oh
somebody
my
thought it was
gosh.
worth it to put on vinyl. You know.
Just to hear it again. I Jerky Boys. Wow, that's something that brings up a lot of feelings.
I bet.
Man,
I bet.
a lot of cry laughing. Just laughing so hard I was
Sure.
crying. You know. Good
How are you
God.
listening? That must have been secretly.
What?
That you were listening to the Jerky Boys secretly.
Oh no, this was in retrospect.
Oh,
This
okay,
was, like,
okay.
Once I got like Napster.
Okay,
like, this
okay,
was in, like,
sure.
later on, I was cheating on my upbringing, I guess.
It's amazing.
So, yeah.
This thing has a lot of tracks on it. There's
Yeah,
a
it
lot
does.
going on in this album. There's
There is a-
24 total tracks.
Yeah.
We can go down it one by one, or we can just cherry pick your favorites. Like, I don't care how we do it. Like, you've got some notes. I love when people
Yeah, I
bring
wrote
notes.
a little bit as I was listening to it. I listened to it twice through this to get into it a little bit.
Yeah. Is your first note dumb voice? Because that's great. Because
Yeah, it's dumb
that
voice.
is the best part of the whole album.
Yeah,
I think.
it is. Well, he sort of codified that in a way. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Pete Holmes kind of talks about this a little bit too in his
Plus,
podcast.
Pete Holmes does that voice too, doesn't he?
Yeah,
So-
he has. Oh, he absolutely has a voice. He sort of has changed it a little bit. And
Okay.
gives it a little more vibrato. Like, I actually think my favorite thing about Pete Holmes or Brian Regan's, as I was listening to today, I was like, he does dumb voice, but he does a lot of variations on dumb voice.
Yeah.
Because there's there's the dumb guy, but then there's embarrassed dumb guy. There's confident dumb guy, and then there's like knows he's wrong and is like ashamed of it dumb guy.
Right,
Like,
right.
There's like a lot of versions of it. Like, he plays a lot of layers of it, depending to fit his act out or whatever it is that
Yeah.
he's doing, which is another one of my that I think I latched on to Brian Regan because he is like he's doing sketches in this thing. Like
Yeah.
he's setting up a premise at the top and a little narrator. His setup is like a narration, and then he acts out the whole thing. Like
Right.
it's a sketch. And so now in retrospect, having then, loved sketch and written sketch for a long time, I realized like, oh, that's another thing. But
makes
anyway,
sense.
the dumb voice, like that's. I mean that to me is the thing that like carries over from this album into everyone has a version of dumb voice. I think
I think so, yeah.
And he is arguably maybe the best. I don't know if he's the first. I'm sure he's not the first.
Sure, but I mean, in terms of like a comedian having that as a thing to do, I don't know that I've
Yeah.
ever heard of anybody else doing it. Like,
Yeah.
and also like my wife and I were listening to it together, and we're talking about the fact that like a lot of it is him. Dumb voice is meant to represent him in a lot of these
Yes,
stories,
yes.
which is so good. Like that way, the rest of it's not like I'm not making fun of people who are like intellectually lesser. I'm making fun of people who are at that same point that I was when I told this story.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Exactly. That's actually so. One of the things I was thinking about as I was listening to this the second time around, is that it is turned around back on him. He is the dumb guy, and it's just the attitude that I think I have this in my real life, and I think and then as we're saying this, I think Pete Holmes has a version of this too, where it's like, I'm just a guy who wants to do his best, but can't. Like I can't. Like it is very positive, which is like we were talking about earlier. There's like the tears of the clown, which is like, or the pain. There's that Mark Maron thing, and then there's this side of things where it's like, I just want to be I want to help you, and I want to be nice, and I'm just real dumb, so I can't do it that good.
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's the magic too of great comedy, is like they're like two great things that, like, some people like, I don't care about punching up, but I'm a big fan of punching up or punching yourself if you're going to do it the way he's doing it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's because, again, it's self-effacing without being self-hating.
Right.
And
right,
that's
exactly.
That's a hard balance to do.
That's exactly right, because you could go too far and you're like, well, this guy's just sad.
Yeah.
You know, and then but there's the version that balance he strikes where it's like, it is he's almost punching into the past.
Yeah.
You know, he's punching himself in the past a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've all been there. Like, you know, I don't know. That's a little trite. I mean, of course, everyone identifies with the that's why they're great jokes. But so yeah, I wrote down dumb voice. Oh, I wrote up setup scenario at the top, acted out. He does a lot of that. It's not a lot of like, have you seen this?
Right.
Which is, of course, Seinfeld, but it's more like, this is the thing that happened, and then he'll act it out. Like,
I feel like the observations are interwoven within those. Like when they come, like if there is a "Have you seen this?" it's more as a result of, oh no, this is the thing I brought up in the story. You know, so it's way more conversational, sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the premise. It's more like the little like tail almost on the joke or whatever.
I know nothing about cars. A friend of mine let me borrow his car recently, and he didn't bother to tell me there was a short in the horn. The thing would honk like every 8 seconds for no reason. I'm, just driving along. Oh no. So I get stuck behind this guy in bumper-to-bumper traffic. How do I explain to him that I'm not trying to honk at him, you know? Just looking around. Oh, no. Give him a little wave. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm out of my mind.
So much of it's about childhood too.
It is,
and I don't know, not knowing his other records, like if it becomes if that's a theme or if that's this album. Do you know?
I was having trouble remembering because I've heard all of the stuff. I went and would end up seeing him live a lot on the new on his new tours and stuff, and like it all kind of blends together. I can't really remember because I feel like he's not one of those comedians that. And again, there's probably people out there who will disagree, who know Brian Regan better than I do. But I feel like he is a guy that sort of puts out a new version of the same thing, like over. It's really good.
Sure.
But he knows his thing. He can do his thing, and like it's just sort of. I think Seinfeld's a version of that too. These days, like if you go see him live, he's just doing a new version of the same thing.
Yeah.
He's not like changing styles. It's not like you can point to like early Regan and later Regan.
Okay, that makes
early
sense.
Seinfeld, or like there's some comedian. Like I feel like there's like a George Carlin where you can point.
Yeah.
There's like, oh, for these 2 albums he was doing this, and for these 2 he was doing this, and like these guys. I feel like those guys aren't doing that. They're just doing the same thing, but just with a new round of jokes and new topics. And I think he every once in a while gets back into childhood, but this being the first one, I feel like this is most. All of that childhood stuff is coming out on the first one.
For sure. That's some of my favorite stuff of a lot of great comedy albums we've picked, too. Is like it's a common theme when I'll talk about my favorite stuff, I'm not going to bring up Cosby too much, but a lot of my favorite stuff about Cosby is when he talks about being a kid.
For sure.
George Carlin's Class Clown is a lot about growing up as a class clown. Like and that's some of my favorite shit. And that's easily my favorite stuff on this album, too, is like when he's just talking about being a dumbass kid and...
Those
know?
first, it's amazing to me. I wrote down so much in the first 15 minutes. It's like the
Yeah.
first 5 tracks, which is like Little League, Stupid in School, the Crank Calls, like
so
all
good.
of that stuff is in the to me, those are the things that I still quote. Like to this day, I'll say boxing, like, or like, Woodsonism. Like I'll say, like, just to myself as like a tag to a thing that happened, like in a weird way, like those things still run through my head.
Yeah.
Like grape, like I'll have a grape snow cone, like that stuff still like is like woven into my DNA.
Yeah.
And like it's and it's all in the first 5. I must have, like, it's that thing where you put it on and you listen to the first 15 minutes and you have to go somewhere. And so it's like, I'm sure that happened so much to me. Because, like, I know the back half, but it almost feels like it's a little less close to me. It's like the first half of the first side and even up into, like, some of the horn thing and the seatbelts, like, all of that is just like, it feels like it's part of me in a weird way. And then as you get into farther stuff, it feels more like, oh, that's Brian Regan the comedian, it's not me. Like, it's so weird how personal that first stuff felt, because it was really because I grew up super sheltered, so I didn't have, like, my parents didn't put on George Carlin or like even like the Marx Brothers or like, I didn't have this stuff, and I still like don't really have that in my like canon of stuff. Like, I haven't like really absorbed a lot of that stuff. I sort of have Seinfeld, Brian Regan, onward, and then like from there, you got your Jim Gaffigan and and I got into the newer guys as those guys came up. But like, I don't have that old stuff in my, as a result of my like sort of sheltered upbringing. So, and I've never been able to go back and truly like feel what it would have been like to like listen to that at 11 or 12 and be like, oh my god, this is blowing my mind, or Richard Pryor or whatever. Like, all the I feel like a lot of people who are really into comedy now have that like initial guy that that blew their mind. And it's those older guys. It's Carlin or it's Pryor. And for me, it was Seinfeld and Regan. Like, and not because I'm that young, but because I was just too sheltered. Like, so it's a little weird. I feel like I'm always like a little bit behind. Like, I'm a little behind in the like nerd comedy world because I like don't have those early touch points.
I can see that. I see that perspective, but like, I will at least tell you it's not that uncommon, because like I said, a lot of people who come on who are my age, I think you and I are probably roughly the same age anyway, will come on, and when people might, like, I try not to have a nerd fit when somebody doesn't know who Groucho Marx is. That's a problem. But like, if people don't have the same old influences, I don't get. But like, it's not unusual, really. Like, there's a point where like 15 on, you become aware, but also you're only aware to what you're exposed to and what you're allowed to listen to, what you could manage to sneak. Like, that's all shit that plays into it. Like, my parents didn't care or pay attention. Like, they loved me, but they're like, you listen to whatever the fuck you want. So that's why I was listening to Carlin when I was like 16, and I was like, this is the perfect time to listen to Carlin.
Oh yeah, of course. I wish I could go back in time. Some people will go back in time and kill Hitler. I'll go back in time and listen to George Carlin when I'm 16. Like, where I can like identify with the angst and the things that Carlin's talking, whatever he's doing. Like, because now, retrospectively, it's hard. It's like when you hear the cover song before the song, and you're like, well, I've heard 10 other comedians who are doing versions of Carlin, and he's the more authentic version. And I'm sure, but now I know that the guys who are influenced by him, and I'm like, well, Carlin's just doing this guy, and I'm like, no, it's the opposite way. And
I had that problem with this first too, like listening to it, and I had to like, no, get some perspective on it. Like, it's so hard to do. It's really hard to do,
because ultimately, listening to this now, and I'm going into from your perspective, having heard this only recently, it is not that, like, it's not that special. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't think it breaks any ground now. Back then, maybe it didn't even then, but there's something about it. Like, at least for a decent amount of people. I guess it's not just my experience, but like, there was something there that like was new, and I don't know if maybe it's just dumb voice. Maybe he just
That's a
codified dumb voice.
It may be. Like, I don't know. Like, it's number one. I mean, the huge part is it's consistently funny.
Yeah,
You know, it's consistently funny. There are only a few times where I got lost once or twice because I was doing other shit. I had that problem. I was doing the same thing where I would get lost.
Yeah.
And also, I was trying to play it on my phone, and every time I would pause and go back, it would skip back to the first minute of the album. So I heard the first minute of the album like 20 times today.
You're hearing you too.
Yep, a million times. And like, funny as that is, like, it's like fuck, I want to hear more of what this guy has to offer.
God damn.
So yeah, I mean that's a big part of it. But I see what you're saying. Like, it's hard. Like, you want to like try and find maybe this is a landmark album, but it's a landmark album for you. It obviously sold big enough and made him popular enough that they re-released it on an expensive fucking vinyl, you know? So, I mean, it's obviously important to enough people and was so influential to a lot of... that's a lot of comics who are dirtier or whatever, or just not dirty but not clean.
Right.
I mean, they tend to value comics like this who can do it without a crutch. And, and that's great. I mean, his crutch might be dumb voice, but that's a comedy thing. That's a comedy crutch.
Right,
you know?
right.
Swearing isn't always a comedy crutch.
Right. That's
sometimes that's an anger crutch. There's a lot of dumb voice. I think is exclusively that.
Yeah.
You know, exclusively a comedy thing. It's a great character piece.
It is. It is. And the more I sort of tried to analyze what he was doing, you know what I mean? Because like back in the day, I was just laughing and quoting.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't trying to figure out what he was doing. And now I'm like, you know, as I'm listening to it, you know, with a little bit more distance and a little bit more perspective, I was trying to figure out like what is he doing that's so interesting to me. And I came back to that act out thing. And certainly he's not the first comedian to do an act out, but there are points in this where he like even takes a little bit of a detour where it's just like stream of conscious, like Jackson 5 Tito blah, blah, and he's just like he has these little like almost Tourette-ish outbursts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's something that's different. That feels like something different. You know what I mean? That's not just like, have you noticed this? That's sort of a little bit like ethereal. You know, there's something that's not quite. That's just sort of, it just connects on like a, you know, a different level that's not quite like A to B or whatever. And I like that. I think there's little glimpses of that I think would like influence people down the like a little bit more, you know, weirder comedians these days. Like, you know.
That might actually explain, now that you say that, might explain why the widespread interest, not just in people who just like to laugh, but in the comedy community, because it's like we said, consistently funny, but it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent in the way he tells the story. I feel like if he needed a prop, that would be the way to tell this. Like, he tells the joke in whichever way it needs to be told.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's like it could just be set up punch, but sometimes it's a story. Sometimes it's like what you said. It's the narration before the story.
Yeah.
It's character stuff. Sometimes it's not necessarily character stuff. And there's this weird feeling I got listening to it. Like, starting from the beginning, I don't always get this with observational comics, where I somehow feel like he and I are standing on the street together and he's pointing out shit that is like literally that is happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's what an observational comic should feel like, but that is exactly what this feels like.
Right.
You know?
He manages to do what a lot of people have done very badly, very effortlessly. And of course, that's probably the result of hammering these jokes out for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I think he started in like 82 or something like that.
Okay, shit.
You know, so and this is 97. So it's like these jokes have been refined and refined and refined. And maybe that's what makes it feel so effortless, you know, like, because but it also doesn't feel like he's like reciting them.
Right.
It feels like it's, you know, and I guess that's the mark of a great comedian.
Sure.
Where it's just like, oh, and another thing I just thought of.
Right,
you know,
right.
it's this thing, you know.
When you grow older, you start having your birthday party games. Pin the tail on the donkey. There's a good safe game for kids. What are adults thinking? Hey, we're having a whole bunch of kids over, big party. We're going to blindfold one, give them something sharp, spin them around, and let them go. Go, Bobby, with the pen, just run amok. And like, poking it around. What are those noises? Those are puncture wounds, Bobby. Stop. We made a horrible error. Kid's running out the door. He missed the donkey and got my neck. He pinned the tail on my neck.
When I was done, you know, and then he'll go into his chunk about being a dumb kid or whatever.
I had a couple.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do in terms of notes, because it's the first time I'm hearing it, is just write the shit that how the guy can get a laugh by using a word nobody's ever said doofus in a conversation, but he uses the word doofus on the album, and I'm like, is he trying that hard to be clean? And eventually I was like, oh no, that's just how this guy speaks. Like that was one thing that stood out to me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What's great is I cannot read a thing that I wrote. That's the best part.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's right. There's a bit where he's talking about people he's talking about not saying the wrong thing. Like not observing that a woman might be pregnant, not this, not that, not assuming a gender.
Right.
Oh, how do you spell Amy? A-M-Y? No, A-I-M-I-E. And then he says, "Nah, I had to take a nap." Like I read half of that, like because there's just those are great little moments. Like
and right before he says he has to take a nap, the noise he makes, which is just like this, like. He spells it out A-I-M-A, whatever it is, and he goes, oh, like there's like a guttural noise, and he does that a bunch of times. That's part of that dumb guy, because it's like that's dumb guy getting a lot of information and like feeling it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a version of dumb guy that's like so subtle and nuanced, but it's like how a dumb guy gets too much information. Oh, like what am I gonna do with that? Like he says so much with that breath, you know, and it's like. And you know that feeling, the feeling of being out of your depth, and getting too much information, and he sums it all up in that, and then as a result has to take a nap. And so it's almost like that's the setup for the nap punchline. In a weird way.
That's a good point.
And he's doing a lot of little stuff like that I can only assume is like the result of 15 years of like finding those moments, you know, like I would love to know the story behind, just like he did it one night, it worked, and then he figured, you know.
Yeah, there's this confidence that like is not bravado with him, where it's like he knows where these laughs are coming from, and that's just the weird, like you can tell how long he's been tweaking. The other thing too is listening to him, and you were talking about Gaffigan. One of the things about Jim Gaffigan that always stands out to me is that there's not most comedians, when they get to the point Jim Gaffigan is at, or we'll have done this before, lose their accent.
Yeah.
Both these guys play with whatever accent they have to the point where Brian Regan's become something I've never heard in my life. And I think that's part of it. I think that's part of why you listen. So he's doing like this. Like it's almost Jim. I wrote Jim Carrey-ish because it reminds me of that because it's so articulated.
Yeah.
Over-articulated.
Yeah.
But also his accent is indistinguishable to me. I cannot figure out where he's from. I don't know.
No. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Because it is a weird... He's striking a weird, it feels folksy in a way, but not Larry the Cable Guy folksy.
Sure.
Because it's also like, the other thing about Regan is he's smart enough to know, like he's smart enough to know how dumb he was. You have to be smart to understand dumb.
Yeah.
So to be able to articulate dumb, you're like, well, he's not like just dumb Midwestern guy.
Sure.
Because he's sitting a layer above dumbness because he's articulating it.
Yeah.
So he's not just like, normal dumb Joe on the side of the road, because he's saying, he's sort of stepping out from that in a way.
Yeah.
So he's not like, it's not quite that like direct Midwestern.
Yeah.
He sort of sits, because you're like, maybe he's from San Diego. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because there's a little bit of like laid backness to it in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's true. I would not know a region for him.
Yeah.
I do know that if he's not from Florida, he started doing comedy in Florida.
Okay.
So that's what I know. I think he started in Jacksonville. But I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you that if I didn't hear him say it on Pete Holmes' podcast.
There we go.
That's the only way I know that,
Yeah. Actually, let's do the normal thing. Where did you first hear this? When did you first hear this? Do you know? How were you introduced to it?
It's so amorphous to me. Because it was like, I don't know. I mean, I know it was after it came out.
Yeah.
I know it was, well, of course. What the
wasn't before. I
know for sure it was after it came out.
Well, no, maybe it's the 2016 model. They sell it in 2015. Maybe that's what happened with the
I saw. Well, oh my God. I said that with such confidence.
Yeah.
Like, I know it was after it came out.
And I was
it
like,
might be
yeah.
you're like, of course,
Of
yeah.
course it was. Because I'm a fucking idiot who will say yes to anything. Oh, my God. It's okay, so don't worry.
Oh, God. But it was well after it came out. Like, I don't think it wasn't like it came out and then he was promoting it and I saw it while it was like on the way. It was like somebody had given me like a burned CD that just said Brian Regan on it. And was like, this guy's funny. Listen to him, and he's clean. You know, it was like that's what like one of my Christian friends, I'm sure, was like, this guy's a guy we can like. You know, we're allowed to like him and not feel bad about it. Yeah, like this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but when I was a kid, I was coming up in youth group, and I was this youth group kid, and like they would make us feel bad for listening to like secular music.
Oh no!
Like this, all of the conversation we're having about comedy also extends into music, which is even a little sadder because like in the same way that I don't have like Carlin and Pryor as touch points for comedy, I don't have like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles as touch points for music because I was so sheltered. They made us feel bad for listening to secular music. I bought and broke in half more than once the Weezer Blue album because I would buy it and I loved it and I would listen to it and then I would go to youth group and they'd make me feel bad about it and I'd break it at the altar.
Come on.
Literally would like give it back to God by breaking it. Was
that sucks.
Oh my God! I look back on some of that stuff and I'm just like, oh, what? Who was? I was really. I was almost a pastor. I was this close to being a pastor, and it was like, oh man, it's crazy. It's a crazy way to grow up. And I'll say there was value to it for me. There's a community there and whatever. Of course. But so I don't want to sell it completely out, but yeah, some of this stuff culturally, specifically, like I feel like I'm always playing from behind on these things because I didn't have some of that early reference points. So all that to say, like I got the album and was like, oh man, this is my guy. I had always wanted to like be enthusiastic about comedy and like, I used to like sneak. Oh, I think I even was allowed at a certain point to watch, you know, Cosby on TV. Okay. Like I remember him on stage, sitting on stage, watching him on one of the upper channels, you know, years earlier. But wasn't ever like allowed to like put it on a Walkman. I remember I put this on a Walkman and like had those like shitty headphones, and like the skipping CD, and listened to this over and over and over again. Or like had the tape adapter in my car where you could like put the tape, you know, like you had the tape adapter and hooked it up to your DVD or your CD player. It's probably the 2000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So years after this was released, but like, you know, high school for me. Yeah.
I think it feels like that's one of those things. Like I didn't grow up with that same type of sheltering, but like that obsessiveness is just so common with people who love comedy. But it's also different for you because like I have one thing that I don't have to snap in half.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take it in, and like I feel like that's kind of awesome because like there's a seed in your brain that you'll probably never be able to identify that this planted for listening to it so many times.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I still like hearing this. I'm like, oh, that's why I like these type of jokes. Like even when I'm writing it or like in a writer's room, like that's why I like it when someone asks a question and the person answers with a question or what was on their mind, like the grape joke where they're like, how many outs, Brian? And he goes, grape! I'm going to get a grape snow cone. Like, he was thinking about snow cones, and they asked him a question, and he answered with what was in his head. I will still, like, I'll gravitate towards that kind of joke in a writer's room. In a sketch or watching things, like, I like that type of joke simply because of that. Like, that was the first time I had heard that kind of thing, and so there's a lot of that. I was seeing like, oh, that's why I make that style of joke, or that's why I do that kind of thing, because that little affectation, because it's I'm ripping off Regan, you know. And it was because I didn't have a lot of touch points, and so as somebody who like secretly wanted to get into comedy or be a comedian or whatever that it was, that instinct to like be creative, and like that was one of the first times that I could like be like, oh, I can do like you can do good comedy and still not have to. You don't have to be the devil, or whatever.
Hey, that was the easy part. The hard part was being the kid that got sent in first to calm mom down before you dragged in the actual banged up brother. You'd have to be the point man, Go tell mom. Oh, no. It's your turn. Oh, so you'd have to run in. Hey, mom. Oh, okay. Everything's fine. She bought that. Yeah. Everything's fine. I just want to run in at full speed and, say hi and okay, so, oh, Kevin. Oh, okay, of course. Okay. Well, how like his right arm, usually it bends. Usually it would bend like that. Okay, it's not bending like that right now. And it's no big deal because we already looked at it, but we were thinking, since you said that you had to go get milk later anyway, so we were thinking since you have to go anyway, then we were all thinking if when you go, if you just might want to take him to the hospital. And if you get peanut butter, get smooth.
No, that makes perfect sense. And like when I'm listening to these things, just because my brain is the way it is, I'm always listening for the darkness. Even though I'm fascinated by Tears of the Clown, even though I think it's bullshit. I really genuinely like if people say you have to be miserable to blah blah. I don't care. I stop listening. Because that's an argument that I got bored of years ago. I knew one of those people, and while he's a good man, I knew one of those. He's like, I have to fucking always just be like, my soul has to be like, no, you want to make people laugh. Shut the fuck up. And so I'm listening for it because there's something there that darkness is not the right word, but when he'll use words like anxiety, when he will say when he'll talk about like some of the more awkward situations you've ever heard of in your life.
Oh yeah.
But he doesn't gloss over them or blow them off, but he's like, no, this is just a part of life, and that's where the kind of that's where the comedy comes from.
Yeah.
Where it's not like this is awkward, doesn't this suck? It's like, no, this is awkward, doesn't everybody have this? Yeah, probably. Moving on. So that's the most positive part of it for me. It's like anything that's dark that you're supposed to relate to, and again, dark's not the right word.
Right.
Anything
But it
is negative.
It's
there
are negative like he has that moment where he talks about it's the lead off to the one of the school bits, the science project bit. He's like, your head pops off that pillow and you're like, oh no, that was today. That's due today. Like that's a dark feeling. That panic of not having done anything, of having like procrastinated and put things off because of any number of reasons why you felt like you weren't good enough or you felt like you couldn't do it. Like all those there are many reasons behind procrastination that are like sort of dark and like or not but like not dark but like negative or like and he gets right to it in that moment and turns it into of course a priceless bit or whatever but like it's there are dark or like negative feelings right in there. All of that feeling dumb in front of people is a very like negative thing. Like that's a bad experience. Like feeling like you're an idiot, but then being able to step out of that and be like and laugh at it is like I mean it's a skill. I mean, it's a skill that a lot of people have. But like, I mean, he's doing that. I mean, that's what good comedy is, right? I mean, stepping out of these dark, negative situations and being able to laugh at them or whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like the way you soften it is where we can place your skill, and he does soften it with dumb voice. That's a big part of it. Like, oh no, like if you just say, oh no, I'm late, it's way funnier than, oh shit, I'm late. Like to me, like it's just there's something about it where it's like that's the level of separation where he's a character. You know,
it's funny as you said that, as you were saying that, I was feeling like the way that other people articulate that with like neuroses or whatever. Like there's a little bit of Woody Allen in your voice there, where it's like he would go, instead of being like, oh, I'm dumb, I'm dumb. It's more like, oh my god, here's what's gonna happen, this thing and this thing, and then there's a different, there's a like, and that's his skill. And there's like a different way to articulate that. And like I guess every comedian is like, they're articulating these negative emotions or feelings or experiences or whatever in their own way, and then turning it into like that alchemy of turning it into a laugh, taking the negative and turning it into a laugh. But people mistake that for like taking pain and turn, like doesn't necessarily have to be pain,
right?
it's just a negative experience
Yeah.
or whatever.
And they also feel like if you sorry to interrupt, but like
no.
if you, they're the people who won't express it this way, but they are clearly actively seeking pain. Which like I said, that's masochistic and a shitty way to go about comedy. Also means you're probably damaged and you seriously should get help. Like if there are people out there who are listening, like, and you think I'm going to damage myself more to be funny, stop right now.
Yeah.
Just be funny.
You don't have to actively damage yourself.
Seriously, like it's one of those things where if I could have told people years ago, like, no, you genuinely need help, keep working on the comedy, but stop this part of it, like that would be helpul to people.
Yeah.
You know, like this is a skill that this guy came about by like. It would be interesting to see if he ever had a dark period, though.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would love to have heard not all the first 15 years, maybe.
Right.
But like, because Wayne Fetterman just released a 3-disc set that is the first 30 years of his comedy.
Really?
He's never released an album before.
Yeah.
So 85 is when he started doing comedy, and he released on that album is his first set ever.
Really?
Something like that. Something around there, and up to the last 30 years, because he's just like, let's see what this is like. And I can't wait to talk to him about it. But like, you want to hear those things
amazing.
from every comedy.
Yeah.
Every comedy.
Comedian
is the word Jason meant.
Yeah, hey, they're very similar words. We all understand.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, man. To go back and hear some of these storied comedians, like their early stuff, would be really interesting. Like what stuff didn't work? Like how dark did Regan get before he realized that his skill was turning these, keeping it in this sort of positive world.
Unless maybe that was always his skill too, and he just needed to refine it too.
Yeah,
who knows?
True. Maybe he just found that.
So I'm always interested to see like what was the seed again? What was the seed that was there in the beginning?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite track off of here? Maybe I already asked you that.
No. Well, I do. We haven't. We didn't. You didn't ask me that.
Good.
And
I'm such a good interviewer.
There's. I mean. It's hard, because I said, those first five tracks with the Little League and the Stupid in School, like I'll still say the big yellow one is the sun. Like that's not even really a joke. That's not even him. That's like another kid, and it doesn't follow. I just heard it in the car on the way here. I was listening to it again, and I was like, that doesn't go anywhere. He just says it like a few times and then moves on to the next joke. He gets right into Little League after that. I can only imagine that was a real kid, or maybe not. I mean, what if it wasn't a real kid and he's just inventing a kid who wants to yell about the sun? Like, I don't know, but I still think about that and quote it. U2, I still think about U2.
Yep.
When's that baby due? But then now I'm just saying lines I like. I guess that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
When of course, he and I have the same name. So, like that, like I've had people just call me that. Like that became the nickname for me.
Love it.
So that is, again, that's another reason why this feels like woven into my DNA, because like it's like been put on me in a way.
Yeah.
But I think all-time favorite track, just the line or the attitude. Because I actually took this attitude and like sort of adopted it into my life in a weird way. It's a little bit later. It's not in those early ones, but he's talking about when he's a kid. He's talking about how he had older brothers. I didn't have older brothers, but I still identified with it. In the sense, so he's talking about calling seats in the car.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I knew I wasn't going to get the front seat. I knew I wasn't going to get, so I would just call back seat middle, feet on the hump, like I'm the hump boy, like
that was so good.
And so like he would just immediately like go to the like subservient position. And like I always kind of have I kind of weirdly enough, so that's I think I wrote backseat middle, feet on the hump, like because I just love that. Like it's such a funny image, and it's such a funny idea to call it. And then he calls himself the hump boy. Like that's so fucking funny to me, even now, still.
Yeah.
Like, because everyone, it's so real. The hump is the thing. Like I've been the hump boy.
Yeah.
And so I still do. So that attitude of like, you know what? all you guys can take, like, I'll go last at the dinner, like, I'll get the food last, I'll do the thing last. Like, that's part of my, like, Christian upbringing.
Sure.
Like, serve the others before yourself, like, that sort of thing. And that also is just basic politeness. But I also, like, I've, like, taken that at, like, I don't need it, whatever it is, like, other people first. And so I, like, weirdly enough, that sort of became, in my life, like, a sort of, like, refrain. Like, I'll be the backseat middle feet on the hump guy. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
like, that's an okay, like, sort of, not on purpose, but, like, now looking at it, I'm like, oh, that is a lot of, like, my attitude of things. It's like, if you want it, have it. I'll be fine. You know, like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
In fact, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I have a story about, like, it's sort of been my anti-competitiveness. Like, I'm not competitive. I don't care who wins, who what. Like, my wife is very competitive. She always wants to win. And I'm like, you know what? If you want to win that bad, you can win. Like, that's your thing. You know what? I want you to win this. I don't want to win. And so this is a thing. Her family is also very competitive. And we were at Christmas last year. We had Christmas with her family, and late on Christmas Eve, or maybe it was even Christmas Day. I can't remember. But, like, we were doing Family Jeopardy, and so it was like her mom was pulling the questions, and we had split into two teams, and it was her dad and her godfather on each team, and they're both very, very competitive. And as the night wore on, things got more and more heated, and, like, nitpicked, like, where, like, if you said the wrong, it was an instead of a the, or it was like, you spelled that wrong, you're supposed to, like, it was like they were, like, taking points away if you know, like, it was getting so nitpicky, and I was just like, it was just grinding on me, because I'm so just like, you know, if you want, you know, that's fine. Like, I don't care to win, but, like, as, like, everyone started nitpicking, like, other people, making them feel bad for getting things wrong. Like, there's a point where I got so worked up in the name of anti-competitiveness, where her godfather was, like, needling me on some answer I'd given, and I just kind of, like, lost it. And I was like, you know what? If you need the points that bad, you can have them. And, like, they had never seen me get worked up.
Oh, shit.
I had never, like, I'm such a casual, relaxed person, but I got so worked up in the name of anti-competitiveness.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we all just be the backseat middle, feet on the hump? Like, if you want the front seat so bad, you can have it. Like, it's that sort of thing. Like, that attitude of, like, has sort of weirdly carried over into my life, and another way that this album is woven into my DNA in a weird way. But that's kind of a side trip. All that to say, backseat middle, feet on the hump is my favorite thing from this album.
Hey, when I get back, that's mine, because I called it. I call that chair. I didn't realize this only worked at home. I thought this was a universal system, you know? My first day in school was very strange. I call this desk. I call this desk. My teacher's like, yes, we all do, Brian. I'm like, I'm just grabbing onto it. I don't know why we did it at home anyway, because my older brothers always took whatever they wanted. Like when we were all getting in the car, I knew where I was going to end up sitting, so I would pretend like I wanted that. Back seat in the middle, my feet on a hump. I called it. Get off the hump. Hey, my hump. I believe the hump is mine. I think my parents were kind of worried about me. He's calling the hump, Walt. He shouldn't want the hump. As long as they ain't fighting. Hump's good, right, Brian? Oh, the hump's good. Yeah. You like the hump. I love the hump. I'm the hump boy. I'm riding a hump to Disney World.
Well, that's the interesting thing, too, is, like, this could... it's really hard to peg, and I think we've had, I wouldn't call it trouble, but it's not the easiest thing to nail down what you would call his comedy, because it is observational, there's stories, there's characters. Right. So I think it's fine that we can't necessarily nail that down, but it is interesting, too, that you know, there are guys who can make, who their persona is like the fake bravado, that's the idiot. Like, there's always a variation on an idiot. Right. I don't really enjoy Andrew Dice Clay, but I appreciate that his character is this big fucking bravado idiot. Yeah. Then there's also the underdog, and Woody Allen's the underdog.
Right.
I would say, like, there's a lot of underdog in Brian Regan, but there's also this interesting positive thing of, oh, I got over that.
Yeah.
And I'm making fun of that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy anymore. I still make mistakes, but like, and I don't know how that works and how that's funny, but it is funny.
Yeah, it's really
shouldn't be to me. It doesn't seem like it ought to be funny.
Right. It doesn't. It's true. It's true. There's like, it doesn't quite fit a lot of other formula or like that. Yeah, it's not easily put into he does this and this. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure that out. Like, is it like well-meaning guy who just can't do it right? Like it's, which is a little bit of like Mr. Bean-ish, like, you know, where it's like nice guy who wants to help and be there, and then like, but just can't do it right.
Yeah,
you know, and I do that, but like that type of bit is a thing that I will like go to if I need to be funny in a thing, which is a little bit of like it's just like genial guy who's sort of a dummy, you know, like that sort of thing. Has weirdly enough, I don't know if anyone is carrying that over. Maybe a little bit of Pete Holmes is that.
Sure. I mean, the physicality of the two doesn't hurt. They're both big guys.
Right.
I mean, you're a big guy too. Like, I mean, so
yeah,
I feel like that
sort of
helps.
Like gangly. Like, I had never, you know, it was years before I saw Brian Regan in person.
Yeah.
And like didn't really know what he was all about on stage. Like but he is very goofy on stage. His like. I was kicking here. Yeah, for people who can't see, his legs are constantly like flopping around, and it's very like, it's very fun. Like he's just a goof, like in a lot of ways, which maybe helps sell his dumb guy voice a lot.
Probably, but like again, it's like it's one of those things where none of these things seem like ingredients that would work together.
Yeah,
but
I know,
like
right?
it is like everything he does is smart. There's a lot of really great smart observations and like sensitive observations. Like you know, clearly he was a sensitive guy, or he wouldn't have noticed like these little things about life, you know?
Right.
Like, and I don't know. That's something I really like about it. And I like it the more we talk about it, too, because I didn't get to listen to it enough times.
Right.
Sometimes I like to give it 2 or 3 listens if I can, but I didn't get to. And
totally.
it's this conversation makes me want to listen to it again. And I hope the same for the audience. Like, what's a good reason? I always like to ask towards the end, like, if you're going to recommend to people why to listen to this album in general, or why to listen to this to get into Brian Regan, other than it just being his first album, like what's a good recommendation for this?
Like why
give this a listen?
Yeah.
Other than the last hour
hour that we were into it. Well, I think it, like I was saying, I think it does. It sort of does mark an era of like observational comedy in a weird way. It's like. It's Seinfeld, but with the edge taken out of it a bit. Like, and that again may not be a recipe for like anything. I like it's a softer Seinfeld. Like, but it doesn't mean it's any less funny. Like, Seinfeld has a little cynicism to it, and there's not a lot of cynicism in Brian Regan.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it's a very positive, which is initially why I gravitated towards it. I think.
Yeah.
And still. Really enjoy it because it's so positive, even when he's like talking about how things are kind of stupid sometimes, or how you know like or whatever. It's like it there's a very positive energy to it. You know, real Brody Stevens thing going on here. Yeah. And it's I think that's the positivity and how he manages to turn positivity into funny things is I think he's pulling off sort of a magic trick there.
Yeah.
Because like we've talked about almost this whole hour, is like it's not often that you can those things don't always like coexist.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah.
What do you have to promote? Where can people find you?
Oh geez. Promotion wise, I am I'm a producer on Jordan Jesse Go, which I love that show. I don't do much on it other than laugh in the background. I have nothing to do with the actual quality of the show other than maybe how it sounds in your ears. But like those two guys are some of the funniest guys I've ever known, and so it's always a blast. I feel like I call myself the first listener. Like I get to be the first listener, the first fan, basically.
Yeah.
Because I was a fan before I started producing it, and I'll be a fan if I ever stop producing it. But in the meantime, I'm so lucky to be a part of that show. I'm so happy to be on Max Fun in general. Like, you know, go and look up MaximumFun.org, and there's 10 shows. There's more than 10 shows, but there's at least 10 shows that you'll love. Like, there's some you might not like,
sure,
depending on your cup of tea. But like, I mean, Max Fun is just a home run all the way around for me.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to be a part of that. I also. They actually gave me a chance to do a web series earlier this year called Brian and Lindsay Will Totally Eat That, and where they throw us food and we eat it and talk about it. And so it's weird that they took two off-camera producer people, off-camera producer people, and put them in front of the camera to be, whatever we are, genial mostly. Not necessarily funny, but genial,
sure.
and gregarious, I guess you could say. But that's fun. Go check that out. There's a couple. There's one where I drink on camera for the first time.
And it's Malort.
And it is gross.
I've never had it, but I mean, every description just sounds like poison.
God. Yeah. It was. I mean, I still think about that moment drinking that Malort. Like it's still like it was quite a time. I didn't expect it. Jesse pulled it out of the closet from Max Fun Con, which is like a convention where that Max Fun puts on, where everyone to open the event takes a little drink of Malort at the behest of John Hodgman, and so they have all this Malort, or they did. It's kind of gone away as the years have gone on, but they had a bunch of Malort in the office, and he pulled out one of the bottles out of the back and just set it down in front of me, and I was like, well, I guess we're doing this. So that's a fun one. Look for the Malort one, because it's my first drink of alcohol. I don't drink still, and I never drank before that. Like I've never drank as a result of my sheltered upbringing, my Christian upbringing and whatnot, and so it's crazy. Like it was intense. It was and then try if you really want to have a little game, watch the rest of the episodes and try to figure out which ones are after the Malort, because I'm still a little buzzed.
That's hilarious.
And so anyway, those are the big things that you could look out for.
Where can people find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at @A_BrianStorm.
All right.
It's like Brainstorm, but my name Brian.
It's good.
And then that's it. I don't tweet often these days.
Sure.
I used to tweet a lot more. I used to do the joke Twitter thing, but now I mostly just interact with Max Fun people.
That's awesome.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
I like it. So you can find me there.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I love doing this kind of thing. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm not normally on mic. I'm normally the guy behind the guy.
Yeah.
But, it's fun to every once in a while jump on and get on the mic and talk a little bit. So
well, I had a feeling from hearing you talk, I think on Jordan Jesse Go.
Yeah.
You was there a full episode where you were
on?
I
did one episode. I had a full episode, and then we did one of our 100, like the 300th episode. I jumped in the booth.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you've heard somebody's name a million times, you're like, maybe they'd be a good guest on the show. And this was amazing. Like this was so much fun to talk about. So like this was really great.
Thanks for giving me the chance to kind of dig into something that like feels so close to me and is such a part of me. Like I've had fun. Like it's very introspective for me. Like going through and like trying to understand how much this album has actually informed like who I am and my sensibilities. Like it's been very like enlightening. I feel like I've gone through some therapy here, which is all good podcasting is therapy,
of course, right? I think so. At least Mark Maron's show.
Yeah, exactly.
For him. Well, thank you guys for listening. Check the album out. Follow Brian on Twitter. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on facebook.com/comedyonvinyl, Twitter @comedyonvinyl, and find everything else at comedyonvinyl.com.